They said it was impossible. They said,
you can't put together the most elite team of comic book reviewers on the planet and do, a podcast or something like that?
Despite all that, today we can proudly announce... Yeah, they were right. We couldn't do it. So instead, we brought you the most vile, ignorant, unprofessional group of comic book enthusiasts we could find. This is Panel to Panel, the Game Rage Magazine comic podcast.
To another episode of Panel to Panel. My name is Josh, here today with good buddy Adam.
Greetings.
And today we're talking about Immortal Hulk number 17. The Hulk keeps on hulkening.
The existential horror continues.
Before we get into that, if you like our shit, you can go to Game Rage Magazine on YouTube where you can like, comment, and subscribe. Listen, I'm going to shill for a second. We need fucking people to subscribe on YouTube, okay? We just need to hit 50 fucking subscribers.
50!
That's all we need. That's all we're asking for. We're at 31 right now. We need 20 or 19 more subscribers so that I can start putting out live fucking things, all right? Which will exponentially grow our fucking followers when I can start doing these live news broadcasts. All right, but we can't even do live shit until we have 50 subscribers. I may have to pay those Russian bot accounts to fucking make 50 just to get to 50. If you assholes can't do it and I gotta pay money, I'm gonna be pissed. All right, that's all I gotta say. But anyways, if you want, also, while you're doing that, while you're liking, commenting, subscribing on YouTube, if you have TikTok or Instagram, just go there and fucking also do it there too. Because I can't go live on fucking TikTok until we have, I think, like 100 fucking followers or whatever.
That's BS.
It is stupid. So, anyways, do that.
You can curtail all that bullshit if you just
pay
subscribe.
somebody. Anyways, at Game Rage Magazine on Instagram and TikTok, Game Rage Mag, Twitter/X. Also, if you want to follow Adam, you can follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official, and you can follow Frank at anime_syndicate_podcast on Instagram. All right. Let's jump into it. Immortal Hulk, number 17. We get this sweet cover of him in the alien interior.
Fucking, why are the walls ribbed for your pleasure, dude?
Yeah, man. It looks like
phallic.
Yeah.
You know, like Alien is supposed to be. There's like a sexual.
Well, yeah, because
theme to it because it's like like the head of the fucking thing.
Yeah, they're coming inside you and bursting out of your chest, like. Even
like the chest burster guys look like a fucking shaft and mushroom head.
Well, and it looks like the little fucking those things that impregnate you look like a sperm.
Face hugger. Oh
face
yeah.
Hugger, yeah.
And also impaling you.
Yeah.
And sticking things where
they shouldn't be. So then we get this. Opening quote, "Nobody tells me what to do. You keep needling me, and if I want to, I'm going to take this joint apart, and you're not going to know what hit you." John Paxton and Ben Maddow, the wild one.
The wild one.
The wild one. So we get to Shadow Base Site B, and the Fordian's taking the doctor, or she's talking to the doctor now, and they're basically saying, like, they're telling him how they did this shit, right? They're like, listen, man, basically, we got Rick Jones's corpse, got Hulk's attention. As we correctly predicted, he was going to come here and investigate, which we didn't, this wasn't as abandoned as we really made it look. Like, we just made it look that way. And we didn't think he'd bring old Doc Samson along, but Agent Burbank went ahead and took care of that for us. And so once we had him here, we fired up the radiation emitters and... bada boom, gave the Hulk a sunburn, and now he's fucked. So we got Bruce Banner trapped in there. He's wounded, exposed, helpless. And all Burbank's got to do is just fire one fucking bullet. Just put one in his dome. That's all he's got to do. And he's like, that's all you have to do, Agent Burbank, is fire one bullet. And he's like, fucking Burbank's like, oh, General, he's like, you just said he's helpless. He's helpless. The guy who sent me to hell. Helpless. Oh, come on, let me have my fun. And we cut to Banner.
Well,
it's not Banner. It's actually fucking...
Joe Fixit.
Joe Fixit, who is inside of seemingly
He's piloting Bruce Banner's body.
yeah. And so, which is fucking crazy because, like, up until this point, this was not known as being possible, I feel like.
Yeah, it's only been Double Hulk that we know, and now we know that at this point it's on the table
that any of these...
any of the Hulk personalities can come out.
Yeah. And so, you know what's crazy? Okay, so these ants that they have right here,
They look like the fucking...
they are exactly the things from Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
The bugs, that's exactly what they are.
Yep.
Which is fucking cool. I don't know if that's like an homage to Starship Troopers or I don't know what that is, but these radioactive ants that they have are the literal thing, which is it's fucking cool as shit. I was like, oh shit, is this Starship Troopers now? Cool, like let's fucking. I thought they were gonna pop up with a sign on the thing. Would you like to know more? Like that would be funny. But anyways, he's just like, oh man, I gotta add make a little space to this shit. So he breaks the fucking thing. He grabs a handful of sand and fucking radioactive ants, and he just fucking chucks them at fucking Burbank.
Yeah, pocket sand.
Yeah, pocket sand. And he's like, gotcha, motherfucker. And the radioactive ants are fucking his shit up, and he's like, God damn it. And fucking he goes to punch him and just fucking completely breaks fucking Banner's hand. And he's like, God damn it. He's like, son of a bitch.
I don't have the Hulk strength. He's like, I'm just Bruce Banner.
Yeah, and he's like, oh man, super tough plastic, courtesy of the CIA. I'm a cyborg, Bruce, and you're... And he just looks at him and says, not Bruce. And he's like, I said, you made two stupid mistakes. First was thinking I was Banner. The second was thinking I was helpless. And he's like, the name's Joe, motherfucker. And he kicks him right in the fucking dick, man. Kicks him straight in the dick, and he goes, oh, guess those ain't plastic. Which is fucking great. And he's down, Burbank's down, and Fordian's yelling in his ear, and he's like, get up, Burbank, you're not critically damaged. And he's like, fuck, easy for you to say. My balls.
Ow, my balls.
And basically, the docs ask him, like, he called himself Joe, like, what the fuck? Oh, hey, can you cross-check the old Ross files? And so he's like, oh, yeah, sure thing, buddy. And so he's like, oh, here we go. Banner once worked for a Las Vegas casino under the name Joe Fixit.
Sweet exposition.
Yeah, his skin was gray at the time. That configuration hasn't been seen much since he was vulnerable to sunlight back then, too. So it's like, maybe them popping in this sunlight fucking somehow, like, triggered this Joe Fixit personality Hulk to come back, or whatever. And so, essentially, they're like, hey, man, like, this is against the rules, man. Like, he can't do this. And then Fordian's like...
As far as they know,
yeah,
that he wasn't capable
that this wasn't capable of that. And he's like, listen, if Banner's taught us one thing, it's that rules don't fucking matter, man. Like, they're trying to get a hold of, or a look on him because he's gone. And he's like, whatever, listen, the second you see whoever this motherfucker is, Banner, Fixit, whatever the fuck you guys going by...
You light his ass up.
Kill his bitch ass. And so... what's crazy is Joe Fixit's running around, and it's got like, they've got everything's radioactive here, right? Like they got radioactive fish, hamster runs, they got fucking aquariums of radioactive shit. Like this is crazy. And so he's looking into the mirror or the thing, yeah. And he's like, I guess they like to keep an eye on the experiments. And he's like, oh, there's a familiar face, and he sees Devil Hulk fucking in the reflection of the thing. And he's like, how's my driving so far, buddy? And he's like, yeah, you ain't the boss of me, motherfucker. I'll tell you what. And so he's like, this fish tank, I can see right through it. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. And he fucking just cracks the fucking fish tank open and just walks right in there. And he's like, what the fuck is this? Oh, it's computers and they're all plugged in. And he's like, what? How is this place abandoned? Like, this clearly doesn't look like it's abandoned. And so he's like, man, he's like, I'm all fucked up from cutting through glass. He's like, I gotta be careful. Like, this body doesn't heal the way that mine did, so I can't bleed out, man. So if I bleed out when the lights are on, I'm fucked. Like, I'll be toast. So he's like, I gotta figure it out. He's like, and then they just fucking turn up the sunlight, right, to the like highest setting or whatever. And he's like, God damn it, this hurts. So then he's like, hey, hope you brought your sunscreen, Joe, fucking Fordian. So then, basically, Joe Fixit's like, well, he's like, Banner's body can handle the sun, right? They probably figured out who I am now, and he's like, but fuck them. They just give me everything I needed. So then he goes into the computer and he's like, oh, Banner's a nerd. Maybe I can tap into his computer fucking thing. And he's like, oh, no, he's not a hacker, so I guess that's not going to work. And so he's like, but if there's one thing I ever did learn, it's this. Sometimes it ain't about you being smarter. And he just fucking takes the this pen. He's like, sometimes it's about the other guy. And he's like, he takes his pencil and he's like sketching into the page where like it's like a little notepad or whatever where seemingly they wrote down like their username and password on, so he's trying to get like the info out of it. And so of course he gets it and he's like puts it in, bam, gets into the computer and he's like, sweet. He's like, I'm gonna fucking go ahead and do this. So it's resetting everything and fucking what's his name, just Burbank comes in and just fucking lights his ass up. Fucking cack. And he's like, he's down, General, and he says, good work. Start cutting them up because they're going to do what they did before.
Yeah, separate them into pieces.
Yeah. So now fucking, he basically pulls out this fucking, he turns his arm into like this chainsaw fucking thing. And he's like, yeah, make sure you take his head off first. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, wait a minute. He's stronger. Like, what the fuck? Like, how do you get so strong? And he's like, wait a second. And he just chucks fucking Burbank into the other side of the room and he's like, oh yeah, you're going to want to hear this. And he's like, I thought it was weird me taking over this body. Like, why'd Coach put me in? Even, I don't even like this fucking guy. And he's like, but I get it. Banner's all about science, the senses, and not just him. I like those things too. He's like, stay back, Banner. I'm not scared of you. And he says, I like having a good time. And fucking... Burbank turns his hand into a double-barrel shotgun and just starts blasting fucking...
Dude, his body's just obliterated.
It's toast.
His abdomen is just like...
Yeah, it's everywhere, man.
Pieces.
And he's like, and I like using my head, man. I like figuring stuff out, like ways to hurt people. And then you see his eyes are green.
Turning green.
And he says, these emitters of yours, you can program what comes out from here, right? He's like, make that UV more intense, right? Hurt me more. Funny story. He's like, Banner doesn't know computers, but he knows radiation. He knows wavelengths. Visible, once you get past visible light, it's ultraviolet. Tighten that wavelength, you get X-rays. And past that, you get gamma radiation. And they're like, oh, fuck. He locked us out. He set him up for a massive overdose of gamma radiation. And that's what he does. And dude, this body horror of the fucking, all the Hulks fucking coming out.
I don't know how many there are, but it's like every incarnation of the Hulk is fighting to
come out.
It's weird.
And so he basically just grabs fucking Burbank and it's just like, he's done. Like, he's toast, man. And so they're looking at the mountain and it's like glowing fucking green now. And they're like, son of a bitch. And they're like, fuck, he's gone. Like, all that gamma, I guess he had to let it out. And they're like, fuck, man. They're talking about this guy, Subject B. And they're like, tell me he's fucking ready. Human error was the problem here, Fortean says. Burbank's sadism, his need for revenge, made him sloppy.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, he dicked around for too much that...
Yeah.
He shot him, but... He didn't end up killing him.
And he basically says, tell me about Subject B. And she's like, the doctor's like, listen, you know the basics. We took Rick Jones' body as like scaffolding for a shell of gamma-activated tissue recovered from the corpse of Emil Blonsky. It woke up today, General. It looked at us. You want to eliminate human error? And then she's like, trust me, there's nothing human in there. And you see this like... I don't know, it's like this Swamp Thing version of fucking like a Hulk kind of thing, and it's just, there's just one eye peering out at them, and it's just like,
The craziest part is that his face is hands.
Yeah.
Fingers, rather. It's covering, he has one eye, but what's covering his face or whatever skin it is, it's fingers.
Hands, man, it's weird, it's crazy. And then at the end, we get the end of this issue, Abomination, man.
The worst part is, man, there have been two, I forget how many Abominations it were, but there's Rick Jones, the Abomination, who was a hero.
Yeah.
And then the Russian guy, I think that was the villain.
That was Emil Blonsky.
So then you get an Abomination squared with like two of the previous people that were Abominations and create an even more bastardized version of
it's like
the Abomination.
Ultra Abomination, basically. Abomination squared, as you said.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, this was a good issue, man. This was good. The storyline's getting further progressed. We're getting new revelations here. The this comic just continues to get better and better, I feel like. So
Bigger, better, stronger.
yeah, exactly. Anyways, all right, well, fuck, you got anything else?
No, man. This is like my favorite part of the comic is seeing. Well, not only to see things escalate to existential and like cosmic level storytelling,
Yeah.
but also juggling all the Hulk personalities going forward. Man, this is excellent stuff, man.
It is.
It's like it's doing Hulk like it's never been done before.
Yeah, it is sexcellent, as they say.
Oh yeah, it's excellent.
Anyways, all right, well, that's the end of it for us for this episode. So if you wanted to see more, go to YouTube, Game Rage Magazine, like, comment, and subscribe. Please fucking subscribe.
Please.
If you want to do that, also go to Game Rage Magazine on Instagram and TikTok, at Game Rage Mag on Twitter/X. You can go to anime_syndicate_podcast to follow Frank, and you can follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official. All right, that's it. Catch you on the next one.
That was Panel to Panel, the Game Rage Magazine comic book podcast. Thanks for listening. If you want to know more and follow along, go to Instagram and TikTok. Follow at Game Rage Magazine. If you want to follow on Twitter/X, at Game Rage Mag. Tune in next time.